The ability to speak might not make you intelligent, but we're going to try to prove otherwise. This is the Clashing Sabers podcast. I am one of your hosts, Brandon, and I'm here with my wonderful co-host. He's half Babu Frick, half Loader Droid. It's
Devore.
in live and living color.
I know. I was going to say your intros now are a little bit more anticlimactic now that you can actually see the person.
Who's there? Yeah, I know.
Exactly. It's like, we got a special guest. Look in the third box. I wonder who it could be.
Oh my God. Surprise. The person you already saw.
Should we go off camera and then when you announce it, just
That's it. Yes, 100%.
That's it.
And that voice and face now that you see, ladies and gentlemen. Ta-da! Go.
Yeah.
It's Lindsay.
What's up, guys? It's been a hot minute.
It has been. You still live.
I still live, typically over in the world of Don't Burn the Sacred Text, but now I get to live here too again.
It's beautiful. We love having you back. Welcome back.
Thank you. Good to be back.
So tonight we are going to be, honestly, we're just kind of rolling. We kind of hit play and we're going to see what happens. We have no notes. We have no planning. We just are going to have a good Star Wars time. We are talking about the Mando and Grogu trailer, of course, that I have watched a grand total of 2 times, which is 100% more than Devore has watched it. So, we're going to get very deep insights into it. I'm sure Lindsay has like 17 pages of notes that she took on every frame of the trailer and everything like that. So it'll be a good time. If you are listening, of course, now we are on video. So if you want to check us out over on YouTube and get these stunning good looks along with our stunning voices that were made for radio, then you can head over to YouTube. You can also check out our social media channels where we'll be posting clips from this, mostly because AI does it for me now. It's great. I love it. So good times there. But more importantly, if you want to really support what we do, you can go over to classicsabers.net and nominate a teacher for our book boxes so we can send them books. It's getting eerily close to the holiday season, which seems weird to say like right when school just starts, but before you know it, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and things are going to be there. So let's get teachers boxes for the holidays and get them some books. So that taken care of, everybody. Of course, you can find those links all in the show notes. Let's jump into Star Wars. And Lindsay, it's been a while since we had you on. And now that we do, we got to ask, because you got some pretty cool stuff. What are you Star Warsing lately?
Yeah, so anyone who listens to Don't Burn the Sacred Text is already going to know this. But for those of you who don't, I am in a super exciting time of my Star Wars life because after being a fan for almost like 30 years now, these past few months are the first time that my husband has ever seen the movies. And we started on May the 4th, and he watched kind of my personal highlight reels, and it was just a smashing success. So he immediately wanted to dive into Mandalorian and Andor, and I think we're going to do Ahsoka next, but it's just been a really fun, 5 months now, I guess, since
something
then?
like that.
4 or 5 months. Yeah, it's been a few months of getting to rewatch Star Wars with that excitement of someone watching it for the first time. And for it to obviously be my husband, who I love so much, get to see him get really into it and starting to ask questions. And even I catch him like recommending certain shows to his friends as though he's the one who discovered it. But
that's so Tyler. That's so Tyler to act like I found this great thing nobody's seen before.
Yeah, I couldn't tell him my dad even. He's like, Bob, if you haven't watched Andor yet, you really got to watch Andor. And my dad is like, Tyler, I have watched Andor. I am Lindsay's father. Of course I've watched Andor.
That's great. You got a little mail today too. Do you have that sitting around?
I do. Should I show it?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let me grab it. It's over yonder.
Oh, look at that. She's taking the camera away for a dramatic reveal. We're getting 2 dramatic reveals in this episode, Devore.
I know. You know what, though? I'm going to do some dramatic reveal it's going to be like totally off-centered or just like what's it?
We're new at the video thing, guys. Look at that.
My Revenge of the Sith Anniversary Deluxe book with the dual cover. So
Beautiful.
you can take it off here, but here's some of the really exciting stuff. It's going to be in reverse, but it's this beautiful red binding. It says, "This is how it feels to be Anakin Skywalker." Sure. And then on the inside flaps, we have some of, I'm going to take this off, the most gorgeous artwork I think I've ever seen. So we have Anakin and Padme there. And then back here, we have the birth of Darth Vader, we'll say. So it came today. I haven't really dove into it. As far as I know, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, there's nothing like different in the book itself.
Just the annotations. There's like
Yeah.
170 annotations.
Oh yeah, look at that. Yeah, I'm going through now. Ooh, I just opened up a book or a page where the annotation is referencing The Great Gatsby, which is my favorite book, and I have tattoos of that. So, yeah, it's going to be really exciting to dive into this. I'm currently working my way through, though, our copy of, oh God, what's it called? Master of Evil. I know I told you I would do Sanctuary. I'll do it, but I got that copy for Master of Evil, and I just could not say no.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one. I am currently in the Crystal Crown, and it's definitely a book that I'm reading. I don't know where I stand on it yet. It's going to be one that I got to see how it sticks to landing. So doing a lot of that. And what have I been watching Star Wars wise? I need to get back into Skeleton Crew. That's on the docket. But I actually just watched Rebuild the Galaxy, Pieces of the
Yes.
Past. Yeah, I watched that. Did you watch that, Devore?
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
It was.
Like, I love the spoiler alert for a Lego non-canon Star Wars show. Spider Legs, Darth Jar Jar Binks.
Oh my God. Should I make Tyler watch those, but tell him that they're canon and just see how
my
confused
God,
he
Please
gets?
do. Tell him they're my favorite, and I'm expecting text from him as he's watching, just like we do on game days.
Deal.
Because honestly, that's what I'm looking for. Because when I saw the Spider Legs, I was like, okay, cool. They're gonna do Spider Legs somebody. Spider Leg. I'm so here for it, and I hate myself for being here for it at the same time. Devore, what do you think of Pieces of the Past?
I really enjoyed it. I love any of the Lego Star Wars specials. They're always just a lot of fun. Just because, like, you know, they have the latitude to just be like a little bit sillier and like do all sorts of stuff and not follow the rules.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of just like fun kind of ribbing at Star Wars. There is, without spoiling it, there's a really good Snoke joke in Pieces of the Past. Where I literally had to like pause because I was just like laughing at it. It's really, really good.
Oh yeah, it was a lot of fun.
So yeah, anytime they announce those, I always get excited about them.
And I will just throw this out as a non-spoiler, but just something that to tease or whatever. But there's a certain pirate queen. Oh, it was so great. It was so great. Like honestly, I forgot that the show was coming out like yesterday or whenever it dropped, and it was just like I was coming home. I was like, oh, I'm gonna watch Skeleton Crew, and then that popped up, and I was like, I guess I'm watching this now because I got to watch the new Star Wars. But it was a lot of fun. Lindsay, do you get into the Lego stuff too?
So not right off the bat. I like to do it when I'm with like my nephews who are younger, and I think that's kind of our fun way of Star Warsing together. But I feel like getting older where it's more into when I see them, it's more into playing outside and all the sports and everything. So I think I'm just gonna have to dive into this before they're ready because this sounds really good.
It's really fun. Angry Rose Tico is a vibe. It's just a whole thing. It's a lot of great little bits and just memorable moments. It's just a lot of irreverent fun. So that's what I've been mostly Star Warsing. Devore, what about you?
Well, other than Pieces of the Past, I am reading Sanctuary right now.
Nice.
Yep, so I'm about halfway through it and really enjoying it.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, it's very good. It's nice to be back with these characters, given that we I mean, it's not true that we won't see them anywhere else, because there's also in the comics there's the hyperspace story run with the Bad Batch, which is also really good.
Yeah.
Ghost Agent, yes, I think that's what it's called. It's either about to wrap up pretty close or it has already wrapped up. But in any case, yeah, as you know, you and I, Brandon, we are both Bad Batch enjoyers. We really love the show, and so it's good to be able to be back with these characters, and yeah, you sort of getting another adventure with them.
Well, and
I will
it's nice.
say,
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Lindsay.
I was just going to say, this is why Brandon asked me very nicely to read it, because I am not a Bad Batch enjoyer.
Yeah.
Exactly. So he asked if I would read it to get a different perspective. And I will, I swear. I'll prioritize it just for you, babe.
Well, what the thing I always look for, especially when you've got like characters that you've seen on screen, is like, do they feel the same when you have them on the page? Because
Yeah.
like going to, I don't want to knock on Legends or anything, but when you look at like Leia, for example, I feel like nobody ever got Leia right until Claudia Gray. That was the first time it really felt like Leia was jumping off the screen onto the page, right? And I really felt like they did that with Sanctuary, that they really got the Bad Batch characters right, and it felt like, I hate that whole, well, this isn't what they would do or this is what they would do, but it felt natural to their characters. It felt like a natural progression that fit in right with where the story was at. So if you haven't checked it out, it's very much worth checking out. And speaking of Don't Burn the Sacred Text and books, we're behind, but we're going to get caught up, guys. We've got episodes that are going to be coming soon. So keep reading, keep writing, and we'll keep making Don't Burn the Sacred Text.
Wait, V, I gotta ask though, in terms of like thinking of that, how are they on the page versus on the screen? Obviously, for live action, it's so different, right? We have their mannerisms, we know the actors, and how that bleeds into the character. I feel like the one that comes to mind for me is Jedi Survivor Battle Scars, because that is one where I thought they actually did a really good job of translating that. So how is Sanctuary in comparison to that?
Well, see, that's interesting because I didn't spend as much time with Cal Kestis and those characters as like people who played the games. I'll be honest with you, I keep forgetting to do the watch through for the second one. I haven't fully watched it. I know that's like blasphemy because it's supposed to be a great story.
It is.
Yeah, and it's got High Republic connections and all of that stuff. For me, I did feel like what I knew of those characters, they really jumped off the page. It's just a matter of I've spent so much more time with the Bad Batch people that I think I was more, not judgmental in a negative way, but just I had more data to go off of to see if it felt like it. And the Battle Scars didn't feel like it would have been a video game with those characters, right? And Sanctuary feels like it's an episode of the Bad Batch or an arc of the Bad Batch. So it's just like a little different. It's not necessarily one is better or worse than the other or anything like that, just different. Like that's what the authors, went for. They went for in Battle Scars a more romantic, teen angst kind of YA story, and in Bad Batch they were trying to really just create another arc in between what was already created. So 6 to 1/2 dozen of the other, just kind of my preference.
You know what though, we're gonna be then really on even footing because very similar. I haven't spent a lot of time with Bad Batch, so it'll be a very fair comparison, I think.
Yeah, we'll have to talk more about that on Don't Burn, because I think it'll be, like you said, a good comparison. Because it's like with Leia, we have so much time with her, that we really knew what we were going for when we got to Princess of Alderaan and Bloodline and stuff like that. And for me, I mean, technically, there's more Bad Batch content than there is Leia content, at least on screen, just hours wise. So you know more of those characters. So anything else you guys want to talk about Star Warsing, or we want to get into this trailer?
Let's do it.
Let's get into the trailer. Let's do it.
So if you are avoiding the trailers, this is your spoiler warning. We are going to be talking about everything in the trailer, speculating. That said, I think I can speak safely for everybody here that we don't know anything more about Mando and Grogu than the trailer. None of us really keep up with the rumors as much as like a Zach does or things like that. So this is going to be just kind of a fun, open discussion of what's in the trailer, what we enjoyed, and maybe some of what we think might be coming May 22nd of next year. So, Lindsay, I'm going to let you start it off with just like, what's your general impressions and thoughts you had as you were watching the trailer?
Yeah, so I will preface this and give the fair warning. I might not be in the majority here, especially with listeners. I loved season 3, and I love
Same.
Bo-Katan, and I love getting more into the Mandalorian lore. And that to me was the really big draw where we ended. You know, Zach calls me it all the time, the Lady of Lore, like that's my jam. As exciting as the trailer is, and like there's so much to love in it, which I'm sure we're gonna get into. For me personally, I was kind of just like, I'm gonna miss Mandalore, right? And it's so cool that we get Zeb and we get the New Republic and like Sigourney Weaver. Come on,
I know, right?
How can you not be excited? But for me personally, I'm gonna miss certain aspects of season 3, and I think it might be a little jarring to go from the not the sitcom-y feel, but the very episodic feels of season 1 and 2 and move back into that for the movie.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think it's kind of a, nature of the beast kind of thing where like movies just are there different styles of storytelling than you get with TV shows. And there's just so much that they did with The Mandalorian that it would almost be hard to bring it all to the screen. I feel like they came to a good like closing point for season 3 where like we can step away from Mandalore and it feels natural and we can still wonder what's going on. But I'm with you there of like, man, I wish we were still getting some of that stuff there. But I also don't know if they would have continued it if we had season 4 of The Mandalorian. Like maybe we get like Bo-Katan in there and stuff. But I don't know how much time we're actually spending on Mandalore if we go to season 4 of The Mandalorian, which I mean, I guess essentially this is, if you want to consider it that. So, Devor, what are your thoughts on the trailer based on the one time you've seen
it? Based on the one time we've seen it, yeah. I thought it was fine. Like teasers are always hard because they're teasers, so they're usually not very long. This was like a minute and something, I think, right?
Minute
like
23, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. And so like the teasers are always kind of just like vibes. You know, like there's really not a lot in terms of like you getting a sense of like what it's about. It's just like here's a bunch of shots, and it's not even like a Mando and Grogu thing. You look at the teasers for like the prequel movies or the sequels. It's the same thing. It's like a montage of a bunch of clips that are meant to like hype you up as opposed to tell you what this movie's about. So in that way, like it doesn't. I don't feel like I went to the teaser trailer feeling like I don't really know what this movie's about, and I feel like I left the teaser trailer feeling like I still don't really know what this movie's about. And it's also I have a strange relationship with The Mandalorian. Like the show. It's like I could derail this entire podcast talking about my feelings about The Mandalorian.
Derail away.
It's so weird that this is going to be the first movie in 6.5 years.
Yeah.
It's so
I'm with
weird. It's like impossibly weird to capture that. Like this is what we're staring down the barrel of, because it's like to a point that Lindsay, like you just made a few minutes ago. It's like you sort of understand it and you sort of don't, because like on the one hand you think of it from like the Disney perspective and you're like, okay, we're bringing back Star Wars to the theaters the first time in 6.5 years. We want to get butts in seats. You know what's going to do it, and you look at your slate of characters and stories and what you have, and you look at The Mandalorian. Like a lot of people watch The Mandalorian, a lot of people have Baby Yoda, so throw them on the big screen.
Yeah,
that's going to get your butts in seats. And so it's sort of like you can kind of understand it in that way as a business decision about why you do this, especially if you're trying to kind of relaunch Star Wars movies as a thing again. But then also, like, again, to a point that you made, Lindsay, is like if you look at all of, let's say, just like the live action Disney Plus stuff that we've got, like The Mandalorian is the least cinematic, It's like it's the most that's a TV show. Like Obi-Wan Kenobi arguably is a long movie. The Acolyte is arguably a long movie. A Book of Boba Fett even kind of. But like The Mandalorian is like episodic TV. So it's like it's so weird that like of all the ones, like this is the one that's getting a movie, is the one that's like they most cracked the TV formula for. And like so many of the others, it feels like, oh, this really could have been a movie.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you there. Like, it is going to be weird that this is going to be our first movie experience in 6.5 years. Like, going and sitting down, like, I wonder really what my reaction at the end is going to be. Whereas a lot of times I wonder what my reaction at the beginning is going to be. Right? Like, I'm like, okay, we're getting a new movie. Like, how am I going to feel once this movie starts? How am I going to feel when The Force Awakens kicks off and I hear that Star Wars theme for the first time? This one it reminds me a lot of Solo, where, or where at the end of Solo, I walked out going, I know I loved that movie, and I know it was my least favorite Star Wars movie, and that's weird. And I wonder, kind of, not necessarily that this is going to be my least favorite Star Wars movie or anything like that, but I just wonder of like, am I going to have this weird, different feeling at the end of Mando and Grogu, where it's like, I've never experienced this in relationship to Star Wars before.
Because to your point of how am I going to feel at the end, every other movie, even Rogue One, which is crazy to say with how it ends, but Solo, like everything else, you leave and you're like, man, I want to know what happens next. I don't expect to walk out of this movie and be like, I need to know what happens next.
Interesting. See, I almost wonder if that's going to be the whole point of this movie, is to get you to what happens next. Like, I think there's going to be a self-contained story, but I think that this is going to be them trying to launch a larger, like, Mando and Grogu series of movies. Like, I think they're going to take this idea of these singular, episodic type shows and just go, oh, we're just going to extend it out to 2.5 hours. And then we're going to do that a bunch of times versus just having the singular 45, 60-minute episodes.
I hope not.
I mean, I don't disagree with you, but I think that's going to be the direction that they're going. Like, I just have this gut feeling that that's how they're going to try to create this new universe, but kind of this new cinematic property.
Do you think then and this kind of goes more into the trailer, do you think the important parts of this story are going to be Mando and Grogu as independent bounty hunters and strengthening that relationship and that bond? Or do you think this is going to be more about setting up the New Republic and further explaining Operation Cinder?
Oh, I didn't even think about Operation Cinder being a part of it.
I mean, how else or why else really would you bring in the New Republic like this?
I mean, they kind of forced themselves to in the end of season 3 when he said he's going to start doing jobs for the New Republic. So I hadn't even thought about the Cinder idea. I really think it's going to be mostly focused on, like, I think we're going to get season 1 type stuff. Just, I don't know if it's going to be a greatest hits necessarily, but kind of a greatest hits of Mando and Grogu, that's what the trailer made it feel like, right? Like, we're getting the Razor Crest back, and we're getting the Babu Fricks back, and we're getting Baby Yoda doing cute things. And here, like, the scene with Sigourney Weaver is very reminiscent of him walking in to get the puck the first time in season 1. It's very that cantina scene. So I hope I'm wrong. Either I hope I'm wrong or I hope they can do it better than I think they can. But I really feel like this is going to be just let's have remember all those fun scenes we had in Mandalorian? Let's just redo them and put them together into something. Does that necessarily mean it's going to be a bad thing? No. There's a way to pull that off, but they have a lot of work to do to sell this movie to people, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree, especially thinking about, what I'm hearing is it's almost like you expect it to be a highlight reel.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, let's take the best of Baby Yoda and put it all in a movie. I was actually surprised, though, in the trailer that I got the impression he was going to be put to use and more autonomous. And I really like that we're starting to hear, I almost said spoiler alert, as though this entire episode is not a spoiler alert for those who haven't seen the trailer.
A 1 hour spoiler alert for a 1 minute trailer.
but I really like that they're starting to like have him talk, right? And yeah, there's a few cute scenes with him and Din, but it seems like he's kind of often able to really hold his own in a way that it's not just a cute little button on the end of a scene. So I really like that, and that kind of goes into some of the other stuff that I actually really do like about this trailer so far. I love Sigourney Weaver with all my heart and soul, and I'm probably going to say that 5 more times. Aside from Sigourney Weaver, I really like some of the creatures that we saw.
Yeah.
And it felt like going back to more of original Star Wars in that sense, where it's not just all action and all people and big stunts, but it felt more like, hey, here's this puppet, here's this animatronic, and we're finally having Grogu start to interact with other creatures in a way that feels very Star Wars, or at least I hope is going to feel very Star Wars.
Yeah.
Now, does that come with some concerns? Sure. Do I understand fully how we are getting gladiator huts into this?
Oh, we got to talk about that.
We gotta talk about the
Right.
stinky of it all.
Yeah, because like that's one of those like, is this going to be a bit of a stretch type of thing? Like, how do we go from Baby Yoda calling himself baby and being adorable to Sigourney Weaver to cool puppets to gladiator huts to, let's not discount this, live action Zeb just going all out? Like, there's so many different things in this trailer, and I think where maybe I'm having some issues is it all feels really dissonant. Like, I'm not sure how it's all going to come together.
Yeah, I do wonder that. Devor, do you have thoughts on maybe how they pull it all together? Because there are like a lot of different sporadic, it seems like, elements to the story.
Yeah, it's really hard to say. I mean, I've been trying to think of, as you were talking about, like the extent to which, like, is this going to be like its own little kind of, like its own little story in a bottle, like its own little standalone thing, or are they going to sort of, is this a prelude to something else, whether that's more Mando or Grogu movies, or that's Ahsoka season 2, or whatever. And I think like my inclination is probably more the latter. I think they are going to be doing some setup work because that's just been that's been the precedent here for a minute, really going back to Mando season 2 and then through Book of Boba Fett, through Mando season 3, through Ahsoka season 1. They've steadily been doing this sort of like building work. And I think like some of that like has come to your original point, like some of that has come with the price of a little bit of dissonance. Like there's some dissonance in season 3 where you can see like, okay, we're doing the, we want to do the Din and Grogu story, but we got to do the Mandalore politics story. We got to do some New Republic here over too, and what are the Imperials up to? Let's do a little bit of that. And so it's like you're seeing as they're building this up, and they're using each of like these shows and these now movie as a means to an end. You can see the ways in which the stories are getting pulled in all these different directions, and like each season is trying to do multiple things. And I think that has been a challenge for them. So we'll see how they do it in the context of I don't know, what we can assume maybe 2 hour and 20-minute movie.
Speaking of runtime, anybody else hoping that like this is just like a 2-hour movie? Like, I really want it to be like I feel like if they go past 2 hours, it's not going to be as tight as it needs to be.
I'd go for like an hour 45 even.
Yeah, probably. I think, yeah, for these characters and probably the story they're gonna tell is like, yeah, if you can, I mean, tight 90 is probably a too high aspiration, but like probably under like 2 hours or under is probably.
I feel like that's gonna be solid. Like, yeah.
It's going to say 2 hours and 20 minutes, and then it's going to do that Mandalorian thing where it's like, oh no, 20 minutes are just going to be artwork that you can't skip through. Have fun. But we're counting it.
We're counting it as runtime.
They do a recap of the first 3 seasons of The Mandalorian.
That's the first 30 minutes.
Exactly.
Although, if we get a montage like we got at the beginning of Obi-Wan of what happened in the prequels, I will not be mad about it. Will not be mad about that at all. So let's kind of like speculate on, and probably a little recklessly because we have 83 seconds to go off of, but kind of what we think this movie is going to be. Because to me, I see, Mando and Grogu getting this job from Sigourney Weaver, who I think is going to be working for the New Republic, and that, they are going to send their liaison Zeb to work with him to represent the New Republic. And I think there's going to be that almost a buddy cop kind of twofold. You're going to have Mando and Zeb kind of push and pull against each other, where maybe Mando wants to go a little farther than Zeb is willing to go in favor of the New Republic. And then you kind of have a comedic shadow of that, or an echo of that, with the Babu Frick character. And then, yes, I'm just always going to call them the Babu Fricks. I do not care what their species is. They're the Babu Fricks. The Babu Frick character and Baby Yoda. I think that's kind of the dichotomy we're going to get, is this kind of buddy cop, but in a foursome kind of idea. Devor, what do you think Mando and Grogu is going to turn out to be?
It's sort of right now, again, we're all basing this on 80 seconds of footage. It sort of feels like we have what look like sort of two tracks, because we've got like, we have the stinky of it all. And we get a sense that there's going to be, again, this is also from like rumor milling and stuff, there's going to be like, maybe the movie is going to partly revolve around like some sort of job where they have to like extract him or something, or like get him for the New Republic, or for somebody, like there's going to be something like something like that.
Mando's going to put him in a backpack.
God. And so we've got that, and we see that in the teaser, and we see him in an arena, and there's some creatures and things like that. But then we also get all these bits of the remnants. We see him spying on some kind of Imperial base, or like some place where stormtroopers are, and then we have the AT-ATs and the Razor Crest getting chased by what looks like TIE fighters. There's like 2 seconds of that. So then it looks like, okay, there's like some kind of Imperial remnant thing also happening. And I guess right now, we don't really know, are those two separate stories? Are they like one? Like, is like Stinky somehow involved with like the remnant? Like, is there, some interest or whatever? So yeah, like right now it sort of feels like we might have these two things in parallel, but then there's something or someone that kind of links them together. That's the sense I'm getting, again, off of 80 seconds.
Lindsay, what about you? What's your take on what this movie is going to be?
So this is where I get a little stuck, and one day we're going to be able to do a great what if, maybe even series on this. What I want to know before being able to say, here's what I think this movie is going to be, is in looking at Sigourney Weaver's character, like you said, it is so reminiscent of that first episode and walking into the cantina and getting the puck. How much did they have to change this movie when Carl Weathers died?
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah.
And
I forgot about that being a factor.
Yeah.
And that's like, what would this have been if this were still Grief giving over the puck and managing this? Now, if the answer is they didn't change it at all, I think this is going to be more of a political type thing, simply because we have that scene with the AT-AT really coolly falling off the cliff. For those of you who saw the scene, I don't want to say too much because I know people are avoiding this, but the scene that they showed at Celebration would also give more indication that this is still a remnant of the Empire thing. The reason I think that there's still going to be a bit of a Grief Karga carryover is more so, we haven't talked about this, the poster for the movie. And they are really leaning into that. It almost seems like a spaghetti western type thing. And that's why I do think it might not be as political, classic rebel versus empire as we think. And it's going to be more of that buddy cop thing. I did not realize until actually just now when I pulled this up to see the hut on the poster. For some reason, this didn't click with me. There are 2 huts on this poster.
Are
which I
there
think
really?
also,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's the Book of Boba Fett, I think, the siblings.
Oh, I have not looked closely enough at this poster, apparently.
yeah, and that I think is kind of something where we can play around a little bit more, right? And how are they going to come? So this is my way of saying I really don't know how this is all going to fit together. But if there is ever some kind of statement about how Carl Weathers' passing changed this movie, or if it didn't at all, that's where I think we can start to make some assumptions.
I almost wonder if you're gonna have like this Hut cartel and Imperials and New Republic kind of love triangle of sorts, where it's like, how are they working together? Like maybe the Imperials need to work with the New Republic to get rid of the Huts, or the Huts need to work with the New Republic to get rid of the Imperials, and maybe that's part of the, like, I'm thinking a lot of what's the tension going to be in this movie, right? Because we need, like, we know the action's going to be great, like it's going to be a great action set piece after great action set piece. Like, that's, they've made it very clear that's what they're going for with this movie. But what makes that action matter is the thing that I'm stuck on. And how are you going to have those emotional moments? Because, like, that's the thing. People hate on season 3 of Mando, but look, season 2 is the best. Like, it's just really, really good. But there's a lot of emotional push and pull and tension in season 3 that I don't think you got in season 1 and 2, because of the nature of the politics being involved and the culture being involved and all of that stuff. Where are you getting that from in this movie is the real question for me. And I don't know that we have an answer with the 80 seconds that we have, which is fine. But if that's not a question that they have actually taken the time to consider and think about, then I think we have a problem with the movie.
I think we're gonna have it in Din himself, right? A lot of, especially in season 2, was should he keep Baby Yoda or let him go? Like, that's a lot of that push pull there. What I would expect if this is like a more classic spaghetti western, and if we have that clear line of New Republic good, Empire bad, or New Republic good, gangs and cartels bad, what we need is, I think, what we all thought Din Djarin was going to be in the first place. We need him to do some bad stuff for the right outcome. And I think that's where that push and pull is going to work. And that's also where the story is going to be most interesting, right? If we, like, he was too Captain America-y in season 3, where it was always just, this is the way, this is the right thing, this is the creed. I want to see him kind of make some difficult choices and not doing what we would think good guy Din Djarin is going to do.
Interesting.
But for the right reason.
So an ends justify the means kind of guy.
Yeah. I just can't think of where else that push pull would come.
Devore, would that feel like a move back for the character for you, or does that feel like a natural progression?
It's hard to say because, you know, we get to season 3, we get to the end of season 3, and so much with him feels resolved, you know, because he's gone on the journey, and like he sort of left the Children of the Watch, and then he found his way back in, and you know, there was all the stuff with Grogu, and now he's accepted him as his son and adopted him, and you know, you get them at the end in their little home, and they're just kind of chilling, and so it sort of feels like going, you know, out of season 3 into this movie. So it feels like, where does his character have to go? Like, what is he gonna be like? What's the next? You know, what's the next place for his development? And I think, you know, that could potentially be one place in terms of like him being put in these kind of tough moral, you know, situations. Like that could be a place of tension. You know, there could be a place of tension around, like, now that he's sort of like officially Grogu's father, like, you know, how does he want to raise him, and like what does he want to sort of instill in him? You could even imagine like a push and pull around like him wanting to be remain this sort of independent contractor on his own, kind of still doing like taking jobs like in the old days versus getting pulled into some of the larger New Republic stuff, So yeah, those are some things that off the top of my head I could imagine, but I think like that's going to be like a big thing for me in terms of thinking about assessing this movie and how I feel about it, and how like walking out of it is like, do I feel that they've done something interesting with Din and Grogu as characters? Do I feel like they've meaningfully advanced, as opposed to them just being like, sort of conduits for plot, essentially,
Well, I don't want them to be animations of themselves,
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. So I almost wonder if part of this like struggle is going to be Din's internal struggle of, now that I'm a dad, like, do I be who I need to be as a dad, or do I be who people expect me to be, right? Because Mandalorians have a reputation, right? And sure, like, we know his journey, but does everybody in the New Republic know his journey? Does it like, or do they just see the armor and have a certain understanding, shorthand of what that is? So I wonder if like that's going to be part of the struggle that he's going through. Is, I mean, it's not shocking to say a character is going to struggle with their identity in a story. Like those is not a surprising thing to say. But specifically, like, is it going to be the dynamic of expectations versus who I need to be to move forward? Like, kind of that pull between, do I go backwards because that's the easier route and that's what people expect of me, or do I go forward because that's what the people that I care about need from me, and like, who really am I? I think it'd be a really interesting story, and you've got all the pieces in place. You've got the Hutt cartel, which links to bounty hunters and the underworld and all that, place that he was spending his time in season 1. And then you've got the Imperials, that struggle was season 2. And then he's got to raise Grogu as a Mandalorian, which was the struggle of season 3. So maybe that's how they do it, is they kind of tie those all together thematically that way.
Can I ask you guys a super random question?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Does it have to do with Star Wars? Because
yeah, no, it does. But like, this has been like, I've been listening to everything we've been saying, and I even talked to myself, and this is now just nagging at me since you pointed out that we think these might be the Hutts from Book of Boba Fett. What would your feelings be? I know what mine would be. What would your feelings be if we ended up on Tatooine yet again? Do you think they're going to do it?
Yeah, probably. We're going to end up on a desert planet. Like, let's just call it what it is. We're going to end up on a desert planet.
I think that is like the one thing that's going to make me audibly groan in the movie theaters if we are back on Tatooine. It's like, guys, there's a galaxy out here.
We're going to Jakku. It's fine. It's different. I promise. There's nothing about it that's the same.
Oh, well, now I'm nervous for this.
Well, okay, here's the thing. If we do go to Tatooine, that has to mean, or it better mean, that we're getting Boba Fett in the movie, which I really think is a huge missed opportunity if they don't do it. Like,
Okay, I get that. I would, I think, rather see, oh my god, I can't believe I'm blanking on his name. I'm so embarrassed I'm blanking on his name, but the Timothy Oliphant character.
Cobb Vanth.
Thank you. Yeah. Give me some Cobb Vanth. If we have to pull in someone that we've had an adventure with already, I would take Cobb Vanth.
Well, and I mean, his story gets kind of left off on the end of season 1 of Book of Boba Fett, which is season 2.5 of Mandalorian. So, like, we can definitely bring that character back. Devor, if you're bringing somebody back that's been in The Mandalorian, who are you bringing back?
Let's see. Oh, there's been lots of people. Let's see. I'm trying to think of like who's gonna make the most sense. Do you have an answer, Brandon? That's not Cobb Vanth?
I mean, Boba Fett was mine.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind Sweater Mon Calamari guy. Can't have too much of the Sweater Mon Calamari guy.
He's great.
Yeah. Who else could you bring back?
Who's the Bill Burr character?
Oh
Or what's his
yeah,
name?
Migs.
Like I think
Migs
that
Mayfield.
would actually make like a lot of sense to bring him
Yeah,
back.
I could see that.
Yeah, because then if you bring him in, here's my thing. If you're bringing a character in, I feel like you have to. Of course, you have to have a reason for why you're doing it, right? But I think they're thinking about what's that reaction going to be in the theater, right? Where it's like, what's the pop you're going to get, and are you going to get a pop with Bill Burr, or are you going to get a pop with Boba Fett? Are you going to get a pop with Cobb Vanth? So that's kind of where I'm stuck at, is like, what's going to get the biggest pop versus what's going to be like you don't want a moment like you had in Solo where Emphas Nest takes off her mask and then everybody's like looking around at each other like, do you know who this is? Do you know who this is? Are we supposed to know who this is? You want that Captain America catching Milnor in Endgame,
Yeah.
that kind of pop is what you're going for. So that's what I struggle
Watch,
with.
this is the return of Gina Carano.
Dude.
Okay, that's the pop. That's the pop.
That's the audible groan. God. Oh man. Oh, that's so timely. So timely right now. All right. What would make this movie for you guys? Like, what's something that could happen that, regardless of anything else that happens in the movie, it makes the movie for you? Got some thinking faces going on.
Yeah, I have my gut reaction, but it almost seems too easy.
Do it. Say it.
I mean, my very, very, very first thought is we have Zeb. I want to see literally anyone else from the Ghost Crew.
Yeah.
But that seems like low-hanging fruit, and because Rebels is one of my favorite Star Wars entities, I think that's a very unrealistic expectation that just would please probably only me.
Honestly, I don't know. Like, if we get it, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a Hera walking in the background, kind of Chopper in Rogue One kind of thing.
Yeah. Wait, okay, I think I know it.
What do you got?
Grogu successfully using a lightsaber.
Oh, where's he getting this lightsaber?
I'm gonna lock that one in.
Where's he getting this lightsaber from? That's my question.
Doesn't he have it in Book of Boba Fett?
Well, he chooses the armor.
The armor, but it's still out there somewhere.
It is. There'd be a cool reveal to be like, he actually got both of them.
Yes.
That was Luke's real lesson, was you actually can be both Mandalorian and Jedi. I was testing you. Devore, what do you got as your kind of what would make this movie?
Let's see. And maybe this is asking too much of, again, a movie that's probably going to be 2 hours-ish or under. But like, one of the things that I think it was Jon Favreau talked about way back before we even got Mando season 1, when they were still talking about this show and what it was going to be, was he had talked about The Mandalorian as being this sort of like bridge into, I mean, essentially I'm paraphrasing it, like into kind of the sequel period and sort of seeing the kind of, the emergence of the First Order and stuff. And so far we really haven't gotten any of that. Like we've gotten, so I would like 1% First Order, for something in that direction, because we've still got like Remnants, and there's like the stuff with the cloning and all of that they did, and we can kind of see that like gesturing in some broad ways to like stuff that happens in the sequels, but maybe just like a little bit more like, what are they doing out there in the unknowns or something like that.
That would be cool. I'm trying to think, Lindsay, maybe you know this off the top of your head. Where does Bloodline fall in that 30-year gap between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens?
It's gonna be a lot later. For some reason, 10 years before is jumping out at me.
That's what I was thinking, 5 or 10 years before, whereas this would be like 5 or 10 years after. So I almost wonder if there's like some kind of link they can add to the Amaxian warriors that are in the Bloodline novel, of like maybe Mando stumbles upon something like that. Like, I know that's a big stretch, and I'm not saying I need it to make the movie or something like that, but if we're talking links to the First Order, like that would be one that's out there as a possibility. or maybe you get Daddy Hux in there somehow.
I was gonna say, because isn't Hux
yeah.
in the Shadow Council in that one
Yeah.
episode?
Mhm.
Yeah, so I think he would honestly, if we're gonna take the First Order route, he would have to have more of a presence than Gideon had.
Yeah, but I see. The thing is that I don't know if we're gonna get the Shadow Council again here. Like I feel like it's an Ahsoka thing if we get it, even though I know it originated in Mandalorian. I just feel like all the things that they were planning on doing, First Order and Threat of the Empire, outside of just remnants that can be destroyed, is going to be Ahsoka stuff. With Thrawn bringing them together and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then this is going to be more cleanup of your warmongers and stuff like that. So I almost wonder. I think it would be honestly really smart to bring in the Shadow Council, though. Like, I think it makes sense.
Yeah, but dude, what if this is kind of going back to you think there might be, this is just it now, right? Instead of new seasons of Mando, we just keep getting new movies and telling their adventures that way. What if that's the hook they leave us on?
That could work.
Yeah.
That could work really well.
I think it's the only thing that would work, honestly.
Because especially if you think of Star Wars as trilogies, right? Which, Lindsay, you and I have talked about how Star Wars can fall in that trap. But if they're already thinking, like, if this succeeds, we're going to do a trilogy, and you end with the Shadow Council, then there's your darker middle chapter right there.
Mm-hmm.
Already locked in place. What could, with that in mind, because, like, Shadow Council would be something that made it for me. What's something that could ruin the movie for you guys? Like, and let's be something that could, like, realistically happen, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna throw out like Ahsoka randomly dies and that ruins
I
the
was
movie.
gonna say Grogu dies, yeah.
Grogu died.
Listen, Grogu, you shut your face, woman. I can.
We said it couldn't happen. We said it couldn't happen.
Yeah. What's something that
man.
could, other than going back to Tatooine? Because honestly, for
I think
me,
this is also the blessing of not being like super married to any ideas of the way this movie's gonna go. Where it's like, if it doesn't go this way,
makes
it's
it harder.
ruined. Yeah.
For me, like, another separation of Mando and Grogu would be like if this story becomes Mando having to get Grogu back again, then that's going to be a problem for me, because we saw it in season 1 when he gave him up and then got him back. We saw it in season 3, like, or Book of Boba Fett, whatever. And I don't want that story again. That would be one, if that's your emotional arc, it falls flat for me.
I think what I want to avoid in thinking of what we've seen done and what's been done well, right? So what I'm about to say is no knock on how they did it in the shows. It was done really well. But what I don't need to see again is Din and Grogu with their backs against the wall and the rest of the Mandalorians come to save them.
Yeah. That's a good one. That would be, yeah. We've had that too many times. Honestly, I'd be okay if there's no other Mandalorian. Like, I know I just said, like, I want to see Boba Fett and stuff, but, like, if there was no other Mandalorians, no other Mandalorian armor in this movie, I'm totally okay with that.
Yeah.
Devor, what about you? What's something that would just, like, stick in your craw and really make it hard for you to walk out happy?
I think it goes back to something I said earlier in the conversation, which is, like, if there is a lack of development for Mando and Grogu, like if they feel too much like sort of action figures, thrown into different set pieces, as opposed to like characters who started in one place and then go on a journey and end up in a different place.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it just feels like they're the same as they were when the movie started and like they haven't grown or changed in any meaningful way, then yeah, that's gonna make it hard for me to feel good about the movie overall.
All right, let's close on this then. So that's what ruins the movie. What is your pipe dream for this movie? Anything's on the table. I'm throwing Ahsoka out there. Seeing Ahsoka live action on the big screen, I'm losing my shit. Just full stop. That's it. What do you guys got? It's a stumper. This is a thinker.
I think I know mine.
Go for it.
And it's not even a pipe dream. It's really not. I want Sigourney Weaver to do something so incredibly cool. Like, I want a full, like, Holdo maneuver moment for Sigourney Weaver. I don't want her to be underused and to feel like a cameo where she's just kind of sitting off on the sides, like, coaching and directing things and calling the shots. I want her involved. I want this to feel like who Ripley grew into. That's my biggest hope.
Okay. Devore, what do you got?
Just my pipe dream thing. Oh gosh. Oh, what could it be? Okay, I'll just do this dumb one, but I don't know. But
Let's
like,
do it.
I was talking about like the whole like first order connection, like you did like 5 seconds of like Snoke or something. They just like cut to him like observing things or whatever. Like he'd be like, you know,
He's
like
just like
something like that. Yeah, like that Thanos scene in Avengers. You know,
that's
at
great.
the end,
I love it.
Like the mid credit scene. Like you get something like that.
Oh man, that's
a really good one. That's a really good one.
Or he steps into the Shadow Council, and he's leading the Shadow Council.
Yeah.
Snow. Oh, I love it. Good stuff. Well, guys, that's gonna kind of wrap us up for this episode. Definitely share your thoughts in the comments. Either if you're watching this in a short clip on the post, or on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcast. Make sure, because like, the fun thing about this is it's a conversation. We've got another 8 months of just trying to figure out what this movie is going to be. You know, as it gets closer, we'll talk about it more. We, of course, will do our preview best in butts and then our post-watching best in butts and everything like that. But we want to share your thoughts and stuff. So, you know, throw that to us in an email. Throw it to us in a Blue Sky, whatever you call it, because I definitely check those all the time. And Instagram message, things like that. And we'll bring it into the show. So add that. Devore, if people want to find you and get in touch with you, where can they do that?
All right. So if you want to follow me on socials, I'm on Blue Sky at Demondum. You can also catch me over as a co-host on Space Swifties, a Star Wars and Taylor Swift podcast at a house with my wife, the one and only Meg Dowell.
And Lindsay, tell them, before you tell the people where they can find you, a little bit more about, when we're not talking Mando and Grogu, what we do here at Clashing Sabers.
Yeah. So aside from being everyone's favorite podcast network, we are first and foremost a nonprofit organization. And our mission here is to get these stories, these Star Wars stories that we know, love, and that shaped us, into the hands of as many kids around the country as we possibly can. So to do that, we rely on our Patreon donations. Every single penny we get there goes right to the cause of getting these books all around different schools and classrooms and libraries around the country. If you can't make that donation, we totally understand. The best thing you can do is head on over to our website and let us know what teachers we can help out, and we are more than happy to send them some books that they can start to use in their classrooms, and we can help shape the lives of these young students the way ours have been.
Fantastic. And if they want to find you online, where can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, you guys can get me over on Instagram at Linz_Holder, but the best place to get me, that you're probably way more interested in than pictures of my dogs, is over on our Facebook group, Clashing Sabers. So head on over there, hit me up at Lindsay Holder. I'd love to hear any of your thoughts on the Mandalorian trailer, and you can also find me on one of our other shows here on the network, Don't Burn the Sacred Text. Highly recommend if you're into the books. If you're not into the books, we still have fun.
Yeah, I was gonna say, still highly recommend.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you're not gonna follow along, but
you won't get it, but it'll be worth the conversation. Oh man. Well, this was a lot of fun, guys. And you know, I do feel bad though, because I was holding back on really what my pipe dream for this movie is. Like, the one thing that would really make it is like not Snoke. It's not even, I can't believe I'm saying this, it's not even Ahsoka.
You just said it was Ahsoka.
It's Batch 8. It's showing up a Batch 8. I got Lindsay on that one.
You got me. You got me.
Yes, I did it. I'm so proud of myself.